Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Healing Circle number 30. And we have a very special guest with us today, Dr. Jan King, who is a holistic consultant and astrologist. Welcome, Janice.
Hi, how are you, Jeannie?
I'm great. I'm visiting down here in New Jersey, so I have this great nature behind me, which is really awesome. I got to see some deer this morning.
I love your background. You look like you're just so refreshed in this morning.
Ah, thank you. Yes, I'm actually feeling it because I'm out in nature. And as you know, and we'll probably bring that up in today's subject, that it's really replenishing for our minds and our bodies to be in nature. But we're talking about people being stuck in the muck today.
Yeah, the muck. Very, very big time of being stuck in the muck. I am serious about that. You want me to go into that a little bit?
Yes, please.
There's a few things going on that are not helping matters. And Venus is still retrograde, which means it's still a little backwards, and it goes direct on the 6th of September, which is only a couple days away. And once that happens, either the relationships, it really affects relationships and your values and your harmony and all the other good things in your life, even finances. So if your relationships aren't doing well or your finances aren't doing well, this is going to change. And usually when Venus goes direct, anything that isn't supposed to be there anymore will disappear. So if you're in a relationship and it's not working and it's really on the edge, either you change it or it's gone. Okay. Now, in many cases, it may not affect everyone like that, but if it's really bad, you'll probably want to get rid of it. I don't usually suggest that kind of stuff, but things are changing so rapidly. So if you're not on track, you're going to find yourself off track still while the other person is going forward.
And at that point, you're stuck in the muck, right?
Yes, you're very stuck in the muck. And there's a couple other things that are going there. On the 17th, Saturn goes into Sagittarius, which brings, that's going to affect you eventually, but not right away. Not right away. And it'll affect me too. And I'm thinking, oh no, because I have my South Node, which is the past and things I bring into the current lifetime. It's going to be making me very humble, I think. So I don't know what that means, but I think that we'll soon see. But the Scorpio, Saturn is in Scorpio right now in 29 degrees. That means a lot of people in your life that were there before, or people that aren't supposed to be in your life, are going to be gone. Okay, which is real drastic to me. But the thing is, if there's something that there's no more connection, you've fulfilled your destiny with whoever it is, whether it's a business or relationship, family members, anything. Depending on where it falls in your chart will tell you what's going on. So if anybody needs to know about that, they can always ask me sometime.
And things have to rattle and shake like that for people to get unstuck from their muck. And their muck is, as you know, Janice, and I'll end in a second so you can continue, is that people get so comfortable in it. And we're afraid.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. They get so comfortable that they don't want to. It's just easy. It's just so easy to just stay there in that little place of comfort, comfort is fine, but not when it's keeping you from progressing forward on your path and fulfilling your divine mission. Right?
Yes. And this sounds really exciting, Janice, what you're sharing, because, you can also share that it's been a very intense summer in the ways with how the planets have been lining up all summer long, causing us to really take a look at ourselves, our lives, and what we need to, like you said, get rid of. And now we're being forced, right, because of the planets. Not forced, but really pushed.
Pushed. And so many people don't want to be pushed, as you know. And whether it's on the worldwide scale or it's in your personal life, there are so many changes that are happening, and everything is shifting. I mean, really, really shifting. In the next couple of weeks, you're going to find major shifts again. I mean, you take a deep breath and it's shifted. Something shifted. And I think next weekend is the solar eclipse. It's in Virgo. So wherever it falls in your chart, there's a lot of upheaval, but not bad, just changes again. The shifting happens again. And the solar eclipse, the effect lasts anywhere from a couple months to almost 6 months, depending on how long it lasts in
your chart,
in the sky. You know how long the eclipse is in.
So that's why it's really important for people who are looking to make changes for the better in their lives to actually have an astrology chart done. Isn't that helpful?
That's how. Oh, sure, it's very helpful. I mean, it's something that I would suggest. I mean, you don't have to, go by your chart daily. It's not about that. It's not about daily horoscopes, or even. It's good to see the trends, because there's always a good time. Even when you want to buy a car, you want to sign an agreement. You never sign an agreement when Mercury's retrograde. Okay, you know that.
Tell people why.
Or don't buy a car. Don't. Just electronics, computers.
But explain why. Explain to them why. Why wouldn't you do that, Janice?
So, I mean, bottom line is the chart always helps you just sort of keep your, what should I say, your life, your direction. It gives you direction. But you always have to have the divine also there, because the divine gave you the chart. I mean, it's your blueprint. So, I mean, it's not like you're saying, well, I'm going, a lot of people say, well, astrology, is it real? Does it work? Well, it doesn't. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it, but I see things that are very, what should I say, prominent in people's charts, and they deny it. But it doesn't have to be about the chart. It's about them. And the chart is saying, hey, you can go beyond this. Here's something you could fix it this time, right?
Or isn't it? Yeah, because it's like, okay, in your chart, you've had this lesson before, and in this lifetime, you have the opportunity to heal and release this, or change your behavior pattern with this, right?
Yes. Absolutely, that's exactly what it is, to change your behavior. And most people don't. Or unless they're really pushed and prodded, and the time is, and sometimes if you just go with it, I've just found in my own life, if you just go with it, say, hey, that's the way it is, accept it. It took me a long time to accept it, but I accepted it. And the thing is, I see now in my chart, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm thinking, oh, well, that's interesting. 10, 15 years ago, it would have slammed me. And maybe now it's a little like nudge, and it's like trying to mold and shift a little bit and just create something new and let go all the other junk. Different, very different. And a lot of people would know this. I mean, you just pay attention to how you feel, because if you're going through a struggle, it means you're fighting something, right? If you're suffering, nobody's doing it to you, you're doing it to yourself, and it's probably something that's stuck in your chart, and you think, well, if I saw this, or if I knew this, then I could go right beyond it. And not saying you need to do it, you don't have to look at astrology at all, but you know yourself that if you recognize something that isn't feeling good, whether you look at a chart or not, I'm not saying you have to look at a chart, no way. I'm just saying that somebody's telling you something, okay? Maybe God's coming in and saying, hey, you know what? wake up.
Well, yeah, because with so many people being stuck, they don't see those signs, and they're so stuck, they're afraid to move forward. And a lot of people, as you know, Janice, are also, their gifts are waking up, you know, and they're not sure where to go, how to begin. Some people, maybe they've been addicted to alcohol or drugs, and they're starting off with the typical, which I'm not knocking at all, AA and the Drugs Anonymous, whatever that's called, places, which really are very helpful. But it's also helpful for them to be educated to know that there's other ways that you can add to that to get unstuck. So, which would be having your astrology chart done, seeing a healer, starting to meditate.
Yes, I agree with you, Jean. I feel that people have to wake up. People really have to wake up. And as we've spoken about this many times in the past years, there are people awakening, but not a lot. There's still not
your camera a little bit, Jan, so we can see your mouth. There, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
I move too much.
That's okay, we all do. But yeah. And then, so anyway, I want to retract for just one moment, and then let's get back to this. When you first, a few minutes ago, you mentioned Mercury in retro. And what I would like you to explain to everyone is why, what is the reason why you do not start a new business, get married, or like sign papers for a house? Like, what would the if people say, "Oh, not when Mercury's in retro," explain why so that they understand.
Okay, Mercury retro. Mercury is Mercury can be a trickster. Not necessarily bad, but it likes to just come in and like just poke you a little bit, and maybe just come in a different way to wake you up. And especially if it's retrograde, it's going to play a little head game with you at times. And why wouldn't you sign anything? Well, because it rules communication, okay? It rules agreements, and it rules like transportation and electronics, communication and stuff like that. And why wouldn't you do anything? Well, when you come down to like signing papers for a house, buying a house, well, you could buy a house, you could like have a preliminary agreement, and Mercury would be retrograde. But I don't know, sometimes it works and it doesn't, and it's okay. But the final agreement shouldn't be signed during Mercury retrograde, because it's something will change. You may not like it. Maybe the house is okay when you buy it, but then maybe 6 months later you find, oh, maybe there's termites, maybe there's something else that they missed. Something doesn't always come out.
Because you're not really seeing clearly, is that what you mean?
That's
because
correct.
of the influence of Mercury.
And also when it's retrograde.
Right.
And
thank you.
And also, you know, like since it rules transportation, if you buy a car, oh no, let me go back. Say you start a job, Mercury retrograde. I know so many people, and I've done it myself years ago. I started a job when Mercury was retrograde. Do you know what? Within a couple years, you're not at that job anymore. It's not because you don't like it, but something happens and you maybe change your mind, or something better comes along. Usually if you go with a job in a business, like start a business or start a job situation with Mercury retrograde, you're going to find something changes. And maybe you either don't like it and you have to change, you have to move on, or else, you know, somebody doesn't like you, or you don't fit the picture very good. You know, so I think it's just a good to pay attention what it is. It's just generally good, because
and when you're in a partner relationship, it can also test you with communication. Isn't that true?
Oh yes. Yes.
We love Mercury in retro.
like that's the kind of time when you probably say things or you do things with your partner or whoever is in your life, and you might just not agree, and then once it goes direct, you think, what were we disagreeing about? But some people hold on to things and they just won't let it go. And
well, that brings us back to stuck in the muck.
Mm-hmm. They're stuck. There you go. Gee whiz. So this stuck in the muck is real. I mean, there's not too much else that's happening right now. I mean, there's tons of stuff. Like the outer planets are retrograde, which means once they all go direct, it's going to be different. It's going to be different again. Things are going to move forward big time. And I'd say by the end of the year, a lot of people will notice changes. I mean, if the planet is still here, that is. I mean, if we have, you know what I mean.
Well, and you know what else I noticed too this summer? Yes, there's been a lot of purging, and I've seen and witnessed a lot of like road ragers and people being angry. But I have also noticed that there are also a lot of people who are waking up in the self-love space to the love of all. And a lot of people are finding love within them, and love like in a partner. I went to 2 twin flame weddings this summer. The first one, I did the ceremony. I was the minister. And the second one was 2 Saturdays ago. And I'm not saying that everyone has to be with their twin flame. I'm just saying it's been very interesting being a witness also from a holistic 5-dimensional view on being present for a twin flame wedding with all this planetary stuff that's been going on, because the love that was just vibrating, not just between the 2 people getting married, but everybody, Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you can go to a wedding and somebody will have too much to drink and and you wish they would leave. I didn't witness any of this at these 2 weddings. There was so much high vibrational love. So I want you to also bring that in to the conversation of the planetary stuff, if there's anything you can add.
As far as with the love,
what have you noticed?
I've noticed that lately people are those out there in the world are very, what should I say? Out of sorts. Lots of people are out of sorts. They don't know what they want. We're back to fear again, because fear is big all of a sudden. Fear has always been there, but as we've talked about many times, fear and love don't go together. Okay, and the only way you can have love is without fear. Okay, I mean, you can have love. Yes, you can have a general kind of love, but if you really want to be in a relationship, totally, fully, completely, you have to get rid of that fear. I mean, we all have fear. There are all little fears coming up, and that's okay. But if you have a really deep fear of connecting with someone, you can have this great relationship. You can have this great magnetic attraction, this kind of like, I don't want this person out of my life. I want to be with this person. I want to do things. I want to share things, blah, blah, blah. Well, will it happen? Well, if you don't have that fear that you're holding on to, because if you have the fear, there's no way it's going to work. It'll just make keep going with these bumps and hits and all kinds of stuff. The challenges will constantly be there, whether it's in communication or what you like about the person. I mean, if you love someone, people go into love thinking, oh, this is like the fantasy of my life. Okay, we all do it, right? Somewhere along the line.
At least when we're younger.
I think that's true. But I mean, there are people I know that are in it that they're older. They've had their kids. Maybe they're divorced, and maybe they're doing something else. When all of a sudden somebody comes in and go, "Oh my God, it's my knight in shining armor." I wish it were true. I mean, maybe 1% might have that knight in shining armor because it's a twin flame, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
and they have their own struggles too together.
And maybe even a soulmate. Maybe even a soulmate could do that because they're just highly evolved and they've gotten rid of all their junk. And maybe they have a little bit of fear, but the fear isn't affecting them because the thing is they keep working on themselves. Because you're not going to have love unless you have self-love. I mean, we have talked about it. We have talked about 10,000 times. If you're not going to love yourself, you might as well.
Well, and how many times I don't know how many times you have, but many times I've posted on Facebook, just to bring that up, that if you want to see the world change, you got to start within you. You got to have self-love. Because Janice, I know you agree with me, if we don't really love ourselves, we're going to choose the wrong partner, we're going to choose the wrong job, we're probably going to even choose the wrong career, right?
Right. That's so true, Jean. It is. I just find it so amazing that people wouldn't want to love themselves. Now, we all have that issue of, oh, do we really love ourselves? Well, sometimes we probably didn't, because we have all kinds of issues from childhood. And I'm not going to say it's genetics. I don't even think it's genetics. It's what we learned. We learned the fear.
Oh, we could be 2 years old and have overheard our parents or somebody else say something negative, since we're talking about love, something negative about being worthy or accepting of being loved, right?
Yeah.
Now, that child may not consciously remember those words, but it's in their energy field, it's in their subconscious memory, because their subconscious remembers, and it's going to have that cause and effect on some level.
Yes, very true. And on
the partner that you choose.
What's that?
On the partner that you choose, or even your friends, it will have an effect.
Yes, and it just boggles my mind that so many people settle for a job, settle for a relationship. I mean,
settle for even a place to live because they're desperate for a place to live. Yeah.
Exactly. Or it could be financial. It could be you're so unworthy that you need to have somebody to hold on to when it comes to
how many people get involved in, since you brought that up, get involved in a romantic relationship because they're lonely. If they had 100% self-love, and I'm not saying that all human beings who are at that place still don't have tweaks, because I still am tweaking. I'll probably be tweaking till my last breath. But where was I going with this, Janice?
Well, see, that's okay, because I think by you doing that right now, it just makes a difference. It lightens it all up. And see, it doesn't matter. It doesnn't matter. So where do we go? What do we say next? Let's let it go and just go on. People.
Oh, yes, people getting into relationships because they're lonely. If they had more self-love, this is where I was going with it. If they had more self-love, or the more self-love they have, they're not going to feel lonely. How many people are like, oh, my life is the pits. I have nobody to hang out with, right? Or to do stuff with. I'm so lonely. If I only had somebody to do something with, I would go do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I went probably through that period about 20 years ago, and I actually made the change of saying I wasn't going to let that affect me by start loving myself. And in the process of that, I would go out to dinner by myself.
Yes.
And the first time it was a little awkward, not in a anxiety way, but because I didn't have anyone to really talk to. And then I started going to concerts by myself and stuff like that, because, you know, and now, all these years later, I can be anywhere, anywhere, and I can be completely happy because I love myself that much. And that's what I would love to see more people do before they get into relationships, before they make a career change.
That would be wonderful. That would be so good. Can you imagine what our lives would be like if we actually did that? That, just go with it and you love yourself. And, the minute you really love yourself, you know what? It doesn't matter. You know why? Because love, people are afraid of it. They are afraid of love. They're not just afraid of the world. They are afraid of people. Everyone out there. There are a lot of people out there that I know that are afraid of it. I can tell that. And you know what? You cannot change somebody. You cannot expect somebody to just snap their fingers and think we're going to change you. You're going to change yourself.
Yeah, that's why I love that Michael Jackson song, "Man in the Mirror." How profound is that? The words in that song.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, yes.
And that's exactly what he's saying. Look in the mirror. You want to change the world? Start here.
Oh yes. And do you know what? How many of you out there have done this? How many have actually said, "Oh my goodness, I have to do something for me"? First. It's about me first, and not we're talking about it in a very loving way.
Right. We're not talking about being selfish.
No, it has nothing to do with selfishness. It has everything to do with the fact that you need to take charge of your life and say, hey, you want love, then love yourself and stop the fear. And where does fear take you? I don't get it.
Fear keeps you stuck in the muck.
Yes, stuck in the muck. And in your life, I know in my life, if I let fear hold me back, I would be still, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know where I'd be. And you know what? I don't know what that means. And I don't know why, because there's fear in my chart. There's major fear in my chart. And I said, forget it. It's not happening.
Well, and I'm sure you can agree with me, Janice, that people who are stuck, right, because of their fear, whatever their fear is, we are also saying that we know it's not easy to take those steps. And it's diligent work constantly in each moment, each breath. It's not thinking about later or this afternoon or tomorrow. It's thinking, in this moment, I'm going to love myself fully and completely. It's and looking in the mirror and telling yourself that you love you. How how I love to be in public, and when I get a chance in front of a mirror, I take out my camera and start video recording, telling myself how much I love myself and how proud of myself I am. Because when people are really stuck and wanting to, whoops, you know what? Let's pause this because we have to call into Blog Talk. So everybody get your water bottles ready and we'll be right back. So Janice, I'll be right back with you. Please give me about 30 seconds, okay?
Okay.
4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, Blog Talk listeners. And I just realized, Janice, if you can hear any call-ins, if any people call in, you might be able to just do it through my phone. Let me unmute you.
Say that again.
Oh, whoops. Can you hear me on your phone?
I can hear you on my phone.
All right.
I can hear you on the other.
All right, well then do you want to hang up? Yeah. Why don't you hang up your telephone? Because hang it up. Hang up your telephone.
I will.
There. That noise stopped. Thank you. Did you hear that screeching noise?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if anybody calls, I've got my speaker on my phone and I've got it next to the speaker on the laptop, so people will be able to hear you. Okay, so let's do the water blessing because people are used to that, and then let's get back to our topic. Janice, are you participating in the water blessing today?
Yes, I am.
Okay, for those of you who are new to this, if you have a glass of water or a bottle of water, just please take the cap off. And this is what I will do if you choose to participate. If you do not choose to participate, please know that your water or your coffee will not be affected. So what I do is I put my hands over the water and I cleanse the cells of the water, infuse the cells with Creator God energy, Christ conscious energy, and blessings. And it only takes a few seconds. And anybody in the archives can still do this. And it's ready. We're done. So where were we? Do you remember where we were, Jan? Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Did you ask me a question?
No. I just said, okay, so where did we leave off?
Okay.
We were talking about that even though what we're saying sounds so easy, we understand that it takes lots of love and patience while you're getting out of your fears. And I'm sorry, and then there was something else, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. You start, and then we'll go on.
No, and that's when I brought in the mirror thing. And I said, Janice, as you know, that when I'm in a public place, I will take out my video and I will start recording, talking to myself in the mirror. And the whole reason why I do this is, if I really love myself, I can tell myself I love myself in public and feel comfortable, correct? If I really love myself. And we're not talking about vanity. We're talking about divine self-love. And if there's anybody walking by or next to me who happens to be overhearing, my intentions is that it triggers something within them to maybe think about self-love for themselves. I mean, remember I pulled you into it one day when we were at a diner because Jan and I was visiting Jan and we went to our favorite diner to see our favorite waitress, Bridget. And on the walls is like huge mirrors. So like the whole wall is mirror. So when you're sitting there in the booth, you got this huge mirror there. So I was like, Jan, come on over to my side. Let's do this video. But anyway, that's one thing that is helpful to reprogram yourself for self-love, is by looking in the mirror, because you look right in your eyes. And sometimes it can be hard. 20 years ago, when it was first suggested to me, Jan, I said, yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to look in the mirror and tell myself I love myself. And I went to do it and I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either.
Which was so sad for me. But at the time, I couldn't see that sadness. You know what I mean? I just saw, no, there's no way I can do this.
And you did it.
And I kept doing it and doing it and doing it until where I can do it now in public and drag people into it.
And you know what I was going to say also about that, as we're going forward with this topic. There are people who, I think there are a lot of you out there like to think that if you have love, there's no like anger. I mean, we know that it's connected. If there's fear, love disappears. But, you know, anger sometimes has to be expressed.
Mm-hmm. You have to have your emotions so you can move forward.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of people, I think a lot of those out there, many of you just don't know how to do that. And I think the thing is, holding on to that. Now, I'm not saying you have to go into a rage. If you have to go into a rage, then go find your bathroom or go in the basement or something and scream your head off. You know, you don't have to do it at somebody else. But the thing is, I really do believe that we need to get through this. And if you have anger, then express it. Express it.
Absolutely. Just don't express it to somebody who's an innocent bystander.
That's correct.
Because even if someone pushes your buttons, that
which they do,
angry, I'm sure you'll agree with me, that person did not put the original button there. They just bumped it.
Yes, yes. And if you know what, if you just bump the button, well, you know, you may be able to just say, oh, okay, whatever, you know, and move on. You don't have to get angry, because a lot of times it's not even anger. If you've worked on yourself so much, like you and I have, well, that's the truth. And people, those who know us, probably think, who are these individuals? Who are they? They're not the same women that I knew 25 years ago. Yet there are individuals that would look at us and say, well, what's different about them? Because they don't know us. They don't know who we are. They don't know what we've been through. And they say, well, what's the difference? I don't see a difference. But there is.
Oh my God, Janice, and we have both individually have been through our own forms of intense experiences. So I want people to know that if you grew up being verbally abused, sexually abused, physically abused, you can heal those things.
Yes, yes.
You are worthy to heal those things.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you need to work on that self-love, because if you've been through difficulties of any time in your life, face them. What's the problem? Why wouldn't you face them? I mean, I find
they don't want to face it, Janice, because they're stuck, and they're stuck in the fear.
Fear, and why? What can we do to transmute the fear? What can we really do? What kind of steps can we take to transmute that fear?
I think that's a great idea. Let's offer some tools. I don't know why that hat came out like that. I think I've got some like playful beings around me out here.
I feel playful today, and I guess I'm looking at the trees in your background. I wish I had those trees in my background, but I don't. And being playful, I just feel There are many out there that aren't playful because they're very stuck, as we have talked about many times, and we keep talking about it through the last months, and I see it. I see it's blatant, blatant. Media does it. Television does it. I loved television as a child. You probably loved television as a child.
That's why they call it programming.
Of course. I just feel that.
Ooh, there's how goes that blue van. Anyway, some tools. Well, why don't you list some tools that you would suggest, and then I'll list some tools that I would suggest.
Thanks so much. The tools. Well, okay. How do we get unstuck? We get unstuck by recognizing where we are. That's the first. I think you need to recognize. Am I still in the same job and I dislike my job? What are we going to do about that? Am I in a relationship that hasn't done anything for 20 years? You're still doing the same thing. You're saying, there's nothing going on. Not saying you have to leave it or leave your job. You don't have to leave anything if you don't want to. But the thing is, recognize that you're stuck. And once you recognize the stuck part, then what do we do after we recognize? Well, some kind of action has to be taken. Okay, some kind of action as far as what does that mean?
Well, wouldn't you say ownership too, though, Janice? Would you say ownership also?
Yes. Yeah, own it, of course.
Because it's real easy to push it on someone else.
Absolutely. And I feel many do that. Many do that. And have you ever done that? Pushed it on anybody else?
In the old days, yes. I can own that.
I think
I really started working on my self-healing and healing path. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that I did that too years and years ago. I don't even remember.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? If somebody said put a specific date or time on that, I would not know, because that's another thing. If you can remember the past. That's part of the fear thing, the stuff. You can remember the past and enjoy the memories, and maybe you're going to learn from the past. That's why you went through all the things, so you can grow. So many people. There's another thing before we go on with this. How can we get unstuck? You can't be in the past. You can't live there. How many individuals do you know that live in the past?
A lot.
A lot, right? They hang on. Hey, there's great memories.
10 minutes ago.
You have great memories of it. There are good things that happened in your life in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could pull up that probably scenario, and you could probably give the same thing as I could. I don't remember everything, but I remember the main points or something really significant that happened. Oh, yes. And I probably can go back to that feeling. Oh my gosh, that was so wonderful. That was the past.
And that's one of the tools. And I'm sorry, excuse me.
No,
that's
okay.
One of the tools, though, that a person can use to help shift their space is they can, when they're thinking or dwelling of something that's negative or stressful, they can catch themselves, and it takes practice. They can catch themselves and start thinking about something positive. It can be anything. And then once you think of that positive thing, push yourself to feel what it felt like in that moment of your remembering. And it could be holding their baby for the first time. It could be going on a girls' night out. For the guys, it could be going to a football game or a drumming circle, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have to. You can remember and you can feel and everything like that, but you can't be there. You can't live there anymore. You can't hold on to it. I could hold on to a teddy bear that I had. I don't have it. Somewhere maybe in my basement, I might have it stuck somewhere because why? I don't know. Do I need it? No. Do I want it anymore? No. 10 years ago, I might have, But right now, no. That's another thing. I mean, and this is, oh, de-thing your life. De-thing. D-E thing. Means get rid of. I'm in the process of getting rid of. It took me a long time to get rid of. And I know that you're probably doing the same thing. Declutter, de-thing. Get rid of it. If you don't need it, it's gone. Okay? That helps also because you start to feel lighter. And that way you can focus on this. What else? How else? This is another way to release a lot of junk in your life. Because things are connected to your emotions. Okay? So I think that's another way to get you unstuck.
Well, your biggest organ in your body is your heart.
Yeah.
And whatever you're feeling and vibrating in your heart is what you're really putting out there and what you're going to get back in return.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think their mind is like, you know, the big thing here, when it's really the heart. The mind just gets in the way with the ego.
I agree. So what else do you think we can do when it comes to getting unstuck? Letting go of the fear. I mean, you have to let go of that fear. But if you don't recognize the fear, you don't even acknowledge it.
I recommend holistic counseling because mainstream is not going to go into the mind, body, spirit aspect of it. They're going to just come from a three-dimensional aspect. And I know you agree with me that any human being that wants to move forward to release their fears has to come from the angles of all directions. It's mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that. I would suggest seeing healers. I would suggest get on YouTube and, you know, type in healing. Go to Google and type in all various holistic healing methods. And as you're looking at them, contact the ones that feel good. Because I'm sure you'll agree with me that some names will light up more than others. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And there's...
Janice, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to take a few minutes because we're getting close to the end of the show, and I want people to know everything about you for the work that you offer.
The work I offer,
or the play you offer.
Well, I do holistic spiritual like intuitive spiritual counseling. I do astrology. I mean, I combine both. I could do one of each. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it depends on what the individual is looking for. I can do it on the phone, and I could do it in person. And I feel that a lot of things that I do. I also do a lot of I do reflexology. I do teach Reiki. I do those kind of things.
You can even teach Reiki.
Excuse me?
You also teach it.
Yeah, teaching. And also I do hypnotherapy. So if you need to get rid of something, hypnosis really works. I have clients that have been very successful in getting rid of fears and stress and the normal stuff, weight and smoking and all that the normal things that people will go to for hypnosis. But I mean, if you're really interested in doing that, I mean, I would love to hear from people. Because
how could they get a hold of you, Jan?
My email is heart, HEART 120 JANAIS @hotmail. Also, I have a blog. It's an astrology blog, but sometimes I haven't lately put up holistic health things or spirituality, but I'm considering doing that because I might change it into a regular website. So right now the blog address is www.janais.wordpress.com. And I'm also on the spiritual guidance ProBoards, spiritualguidance.proboards.com. I'm one of the spiritual experts, and haven't started offering anything yet, but we'll eventually have something on there that you can contact me through there.
I'm also on, as you know, Janice, but I'm telling the
Yes.
viewers, I'm also on the Spiritual Guidance Network. And actually, I have a class coming up on September 23rd called Be the I Am That You Were Meant to Be. And what I'll be doing, what we'll be doing, is we will be going deep, deep, deep into your core cellular level and releasing all lifetimes, parallel lifetimes that cause you to be in fear as a result of your gifts and abilities. There will be a mantra that you will repeat if you choose to break free from the Earth's matrix. And the reason you may choose to do that is so that if you don't want to reincarnate back on Earth, next lifetime you won't be forced to, you'll be freed. And then we're going to open up DNA and gifts. So it's going to be a really exciting class, and that you can take that, sign up for that class by joining the spiritualbistro.com, and it is free to join. And then you can go to, there's a link that will take you to the Spiritual Guidance Networks. You'll see Jan. Jan, what's the name of your group? Mine is the Healing Center. The Healing Circle.
Discover Your Truth with Janae. Janice, Janais. Discover Your Truth with Janice, spelled Janais.
And we have some great conversations, and it doesn't cost anything to get involved with the conversations. And there's many of us on the site that can be very helpful to anybody who is looking to grow, to get unstuck from the muck, or wants to talk about ascension symptoms, or why, am I going through this, Jan, because this is, when my birthday is, we just had you were just asked a very good question by Loon Witch Shah.
Yeah.
I think it was her who asked, or maybe it was Tavin who asked the question, does your sign change?
Oh, yes.
I loved your answer. Please share that real quick. We've got about 5 minutes.
Okay. Your sign does change a couple times during your life. Maybe it depends how long.
Explain which sign, though.
Okay, your sun sign. But all signs change. Let's say this. Most of your signs change unless, and we won't get into the other planets like Uranus and Pluto and Neptune. That isn't, because a lot of times they don't. But Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Jupiter sometimes depends on where it is, what sign it is, and how close to the end of it is. But most of the personal planets change. The sun sign definitely, when I was, I'm a Taurus. So when I was about 11 or 12, I became a Gemini, the sun sign. I'm still a Taurus, but my progressed sun was now in Gemini. And now that I'm older, it's now in Cancer. Okay? So it gives you opportunity to feel different parts of the, what should I say, the sun signs around the, from Aries to Pisces, all the way around, the 12 signs. So it gives you an opportunity to do that. Even your moon sign progresses. My moon progressed from Capricorn to Cancer. Okay? It's been around a few times because moon signs do that. But the thing is, the sun sign moves slowly. It's like 1 degree per year, sort of. Depends. But
It moves 1 degree, you said, per year?
1 degree per year. Well, it can be otherwise, but I'm using that as a basic.
So would you say that if a person lived a full, long life, maybe at least into their 90s, that by that point they would have gone through the whole cycle?
No, they would go through about say if they started in Aries, they would probably end up in the sun side of Cancer. Or if like me, it would start, and probably Leo. If I live to 100, I'd probably go from Taurus to Leo. With Leo.
Okay, so that's basically like a quarter, right? Almost.
Yeah. I mean, if you lived a couple of 100 years, you might go through it, right?
Well, I think technically we can.
Yes, we can if they allow us to, but I won't say anything more.
Well, that's why we're working on crystallizing ourselves more.
What's that?
That's why we're working on crystallizing ourselves more.
Yes, I agree. Very much so.
Because we are crystallized beings having an earthly experience.
I think many forget that.
Well, we've been programmed to forget that.
So let's unprogram everyone out there. Can we do that?
Yes. Hey, don't you have our friend Rachel? Tell her, let's give her a plug real quick. We've got 1 minute about that stuff that you drink that she made.
Oh, yes. Third Eye. It's my friend Rachel. Can I plug her? Garden of One on the net. There's many products, outstanding stuff. Outstanding.
I love her stuff.
And I can't get enough of it. she has remedies.
Yes, talk about this.
Okay, Third Eye.
And being stuck with the calcite.
Third eye, and it also, there's a spray, and there's also a
liquid that you drink. It's really good.
Put in water, and it decalcifies your third eye, which means that you can see again. See through, instead of seeing with your eyes, you see with your third eye, and you pick up more things than you've ever done in your life.
And besides the other amazing products that she makes, which are fabulous, how would they find her again?
It's a Garden of One. It's called Garden of One.
So it would be
www.gardenofone.com. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love that I got to meet Rachel a couple of weeks ago. She did a Healing for Healers Day, and next year she's going to do it for 2 days.
90 seconds.
So Jan, I want you there next week. So Jan, www.jan what?
My blog you're talking about? www.janais.wordpress.com.
Or they can find you on the Spiritual Bistro Network, which leads you to the Spiritual Guidance Network. And me too.
60 seconds.
So next week's show is going to be on Friday night starting at 10:30, 11 o'clock on Blog Talk. And we've got Jason Kirkpatrick back again. And he's going to be connecting with us from Big Pine, Florida Keys. Jason, Janice, thank you so much for being here. I want you on again really soon.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. It was such a pleasure.
And I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
It'll be great.
We're spending the weekend together. Namaste, everyone. God bless you. Aho. Any closing words, Janice?
Find that love within yourself. And remember that God wants you to find that love. So go for it. That's all I can say. Because once you do, the world opens up to you.
Love, 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 love. Okay. Talk to you later, Janice. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.